Okay, this is Ben Farooqi for ID Boxing. I'm delighted to be joined by Adam Smith. Adam, eventful night in Liverpool, some strange results there. Just talk me through the card, starting with Dan Aziz.
Eventful day, because I was at the Merseyside derby earlier, and that was a strange one as well. So I think I left that frustrated, and I leave tonight a little frustrated too. It's the whole sort of story of boxing tonight, really, wasn't it? Some great action, some fantastic moments, some bizarre endings, some bad situations, I thought, and some precocious young talent coming through. I mean, it sort of had everything. Start with Dan Aziz, really good competitive British light heavyweight title fight. I'm glad we kicked off with it because the show got off to a great start. I thought Shaq Pettis had his moments, and he came back, strongly at the end, having looked like he was in a bit of trouble in the middle rounds, but. Yeah, Dan Aziz a rightful winner. Not quite sure it was as wide as that, but I thought Dan did really well. He's difficult to beat. He's very organised. He just sort of had an answer, and he sustained it more than Shakan. But Pettis had his moments, and it was a good fight. I enjoyed it, but the right man won. Adam Azim, electric again. You question the opponent slightly, but ultimately it's early stages for him. And the body shot, looked a really good one, and that was done, and a good celebration. And you can almost stomach that one. But then what happened with Frazer Clarke was not good at all. I worried about him a little bit at the weigh-in. There was a 4-stone difference. He looked more like a light heavy, possibly a cruiser to me. He'd been unbeaten in 7 in Bulgaria. On paper, it looked like okay, this is at least an unbeaten guy, but. That's the trouble with matching elite amateurs against fighters from around the world. As there's a big difference, and I really felt for Frazer, and I thought it was a debacle. Really, the guy didn't want to know, and it's a shame. And I think it's dangerous as well. And Frazer said that to me afterwards. It's dangerous if you've got an elite amateur who's got a 4-stone weight advantage on a young fighter who's. Young, obviously does harbour ambitions. He's unbeaten in his own country, and he comes over here, and it almost like he's fed to the wolves. So that was disappointing.
Just touching on those two opponents. Firstly, with Adam, do we need, if he wants to win a world title at a young age, do we not need to see him stepped up now in the next fight?
Yeah, we do. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to sort of get the opponents that are right if he wants to go that quickly. And do we push him that quickly? Because there are levels to go through. Simon Pentle, the lawyer, said actually earlier to me, it was a bit like you're answering the questions on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and it's pretty easy to do the first 5 up to 1,000, but then it's when you get to the sort of the 2s, the 4s, the 8s, and there are big jumps up. Could Adam deal with anyone domestically? I mean, he's dealt really well with Conor Marsden and others, but not, he's got to step up for titles. But how quickly do you do it? I mean, I think you should sort of move him and the Olympians who've really been at elite level for the last few years, the likes of Lauren and Karis and Caroline and Fraser and Ben, they've been at the level for a long time, and now to sort of drop right down, it's very difficult. It's a difficult question. I think the key is keeping momentum, keeping them busy, trying to find different styles, but maybe the journeyman that the fighters from 10, 15 years ago used to cut their teeth into, maybe they just don't exist as much anymore, and I think it's going to be hard because those journeymen take you rounds, they teach you tricks, and Adam's had less than 14 rounds in 5, 6 fights now, and that's not enough when he goes up to a serious level. But how quickly does he get there? Shane believes he'll blow people away up to maybe even up to world level. So it's difficult. I think you've got to get him back up. You've got to put a bigger test in front of Adam next time.
A lot of people call him
Fraser as well.
A lot of people on socials would call him for Ryland Charlton next. What do you think of that fight for Adam?
Yeah, I'd like to see that sort of now. Ryland Charlton will be a good opponent for him because he'll come to win, and he's lively, and as we saw in the Boxer tournament, he's full of passion and belief, and he'll certainly take the fight to Adam and make it tough. That's a good shout.
On Frazer, we spoke to him after the fight, and he said he'd like to face someone like Sokolowski next. What do you think for that fight for him?
Yeah, he needs to step up, but Frazer, the first fight was awful as well. The second fight, he at least faced someone who'd been 10 rounds with Jarrell Miller. That was okay. And this guy is an unbeaten Bulgarian. I mean, we hadn't seen any tape of him, and you have to look at sort of, who's he beaten and why was he here, really. Yes, I mean, look, it was not good tonight, but let's move on, and we need Frazer, back soon, and in a test exactly like that.
Moving on to Tasha, tell me what you made of her performance.
I thought it was one of the best performances of her career, maybe the best. I mean, she's gone up in weight. She looks like she's absolutely right at super lightweight now. I thought it was a tough fight on paper, and in reality, Burkholdt gave her all. She was competitive all the way through. I thought she might have nicked 2 or 3 of the rounds. It was very wide on the cards. Tasha, I think, felt she lost a couple. I think the early took her a while just to get into her rhythm, but once she did, I thought she was brilliant. I thought she was she mixed up her shots well. Her inside work was great. She looked much more powerful, and she won it, very comfortably. And I thought it was a terrific performance from her. I thought Burkholdt played her part. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was a really good fight, even though it was fairly one-sided in terms of the scoring. Sometimes difficult with those 2-minute rounds. They go so quickly. But it was another great advert for women's boxing, and we've got obviously the huge show next week, and it was a terrific hors d'oeuvre. And she's 38, and I think people are saying she's like fine wine. Now she wants more titles. She said to me, 6 months, 12 months ago, that she just wanted to win a world title, and then she was happy to be being alongside us as a commentator. But it seems like she wants more success, and on the performance tonight, she's going to get it. I think she wants to go for undisputed. So good luck to Tasha. She's a great girl. She's a great role model, and it's fantastic. She's got another belt to bring back to Mila.
She certainly has got a new lease of life. She spoke about potential rematch with Terry Harper. Do you think we'll get to see that, and how easy would that be to make?
I'd love to see that. Terry and Hannah are fighting. You'd see Tasha in with those. It'd be brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'd love to see it with Terry Harper again. It was a great fight first time around. I felt Tasha nicked it. Let's see it again. Yes, I mean, it looks like she's going to have another year, 2 years in this business. I was almost like welcoming her into the team on the broadcasting side. I think she's done a fantastic job as a co-commentator in a really quick space of time. And she's going to be alongside us next week, of course. We want her on that side of the ropes, but she's doing so well inside it that Ben and I want to keep it going. So it's a great story. But I want to take my hat off and show a lot of respect to Patricia too. She was brilliant all week. She's obviously lost for the first time in her life. Serious world champion, and it just shows what Tasha's performance was like tonight.
Definitely does. Just on to the main event then. Liam Smith,
really?
Bizarre ending.
About that one?
Yeah, well, probably the most bizarre ending I've seen at a fight.
Yeah, look, in boxing we've seen. I mean, I thought Filip Hrgovic's performance the last couple of weeks ago in Saudi was strange. He was sort of almost walking around the ring at times as though he didn't really know whether he should be there. And cameos, he was fantastic. So that was odd. I've seen Andrew Golota quit in fights and tell me afterwards, and I asked him, I said to him, Andrew, what happened? He says, I quit, okay, I quit, and you as broadcasters and not fighters, not former fighters, it's not our job to. I mean, Johnny went in and said straight away that Mwakinyo had taken a dive. He can say that, he's a former fighter. I can't say that, but you got to question whether he did just want no more. And it seemed that Victor Loughlin was pretty confident that was the case, and it was strange. He sort of seemed to maybe roll an ankle in the round before, but he was competitive. He was in some ways taking the rounds. I mean, he was boxing really well, and it just maybe he felt that. I mean, Liam had sparred him before, and I think maybe similar things had happened, and maybe he just felt he'd given his best and didn't really fancy it anymore. But then, sort of 5 minutes later, he seemed like he was really happy and maybe wanted to go again. It was bizarre, and I think, look, they've got to look at it. They've got to look into the Frazer situation and the Liam situation, because both of the winning fighters were absolutely gutted, because they felt that the fans had paid their money and they had long training camps, and unfortunately both were very, very poor and weird endings. So yeah, look, we move on, and Liam will have bigger and better nights. But yeah, I think everyone would have been happy if he got the stoppage, but in 6-7 rounds in a sort of more legitimate way, and it was disappointing that was the ending.
What's next in the pipeline for Liam?
I'd like to see him in big fights, and it's a question of how quickly we go again and what we go again. There's obviously some interest in the Charlo-Sue fight, but that looks like that's not happening for a while. Chris Eubank and Conor Benn fight in a few weeks' time. if Chris comes through that, then I think that's the fight to make. But it might be that Liam just has to wait a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, just to see where the land lies. And it's a shame because if he got a bit more of a workout tonight, you could see him maybe having his next fight, a big fight in 3 months' time. But he probably was itching to get back in now, and we're going to have to look at that situation. But we promised Liam Swift big fights, and we've got to deliver them.
Away from tonight, next week, big event for Sky. You've got Shields Marshall. Just talk me through that event and give me your prediction for the main event as well.
Well, it's a wonderful night for boxing and for sport. All focus on the women, which is what we've been building up to for a long time. Yeah, since the early days of Jane Couch and Katie Taylor on Sky, and Terry and Chantel and Tasha and Savannah and all the great women that have come through. As you saw tonight again, almost every time the women just putting on these fantastic fights. Obviously, we've had the Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano night. This next week is a totally female card with just 2 fantastic fights at the top. Obviously, the main event is spectacular. A 10-year history, the rivalry, the different characters. It's elite boxing. Clarissa Shields with her speed, her movement, her boxing skills, and Savannah with her amateur pedigree, her confidence now, and her incredible punch power. That's a pick'em. That's a 50-50 fight. Michaela Mayer and Alicia Baumgardner as well, a terrific unification. And then you've got the best of the elite talent. It's a shame we can't sort of invite Katie and Chantel and Terry and all the rest of them on there, obviously different promotional companies, but it's good that Matchroom are involved with Alicia, and that Top Rank, obviously our colleagues are involved with Michaela. So it seems like everyone's coming together to make it a fantastic night, and the key for us is that the most eyeballs possible on. It comes off the City Spurs game. We're working overtime next week to make sure that we decided it wasn't going to be a box office event. It was going to go on Sky Sports. We want everyone to see it. We want everyone to come. I think we're sending invitations out to a whole wide variety. We want the Lionesses there. We want everybody there. We want to turn it into a pivotal moment for women's sport, and I really believe it's going to live up to all the hype.
Fantastic. Finally from me, Adam, 2 weeks away we've got Canelo Triple G3. Just give me your prediction for that event.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. I'm a massive fan of both fighters. Gennadi's been around a long time, and you wonder whether Canelo's getting him at the right time, but never write Golovkin off. Triple G is an animal. He's a beast, and he's quality, and he'll be right up for this. He'll be bang up for it. And Canelo had that disappointing display against Bivol, so maybe it's a slightly different fight than if he'd beaten Bivol and he'd got in as a red hot favourite to beat Golovkin. But he's always had trouble with Triple G, and they've had 2 great fights so far. I'm looking forward to this, and I'll be watching it through the night, and I can't wait.
All right, thank you for speaking to ID Boxing, Adam. Take care.
No problem.